Alright, there are 8 bolts that hold the cylinder on, so the first thing that we do is take the 2 bottom ones for the cam chain tower. Alright, because I'm going to separate the cylinder from the crankcase, but I want to keep the head to the cylinder, mated to the cylinder, I'm only going to take these 4 bolts out. If you're going to take the head off, you'd take these other 2. So we're only going to take these 4. Alright, we crack these loose. You don't want to just unbolt them. You want to take them loose in stages. You want to loosen them up a bit at a time. Alright, now they're loose and I can just take them out. Alright, the reason that we're not taking the head loose from the cylinder is that the gasket, the head gasket, is very expensive. It's like $50, and it's not necessary to break this loose. So we don't want to mix up the valve, the buckets, and the shims. So what we're going to do is put them in labeled bags. So this is the left exhaust. And a bag labeled, oops, LN, wrong bag. Bag labeled LX. So that's for the left exhaust. And that way I won't get that one mixed up. And I have, here's the right exhaust. And we'll put that in the bag. Alright, so now the cylinder's loose. So we can get the cylinder separated from the crankcase. But what we want to do is lift it up just a little bit. And then we want to tilt the motor over like this. Pull the cylinder away. Pull the cylinder away, and there's the connecting rod. And what we want to do is just expose the end of the wrist pin. Just the very end. We don't want the oil ring to slip out. It's not horrible if it does, but it just makes life a little more difficult. Okay, so there's the clip. So what we're going to do is take that clip out and then drive the wrist pin out and leave the piston in the cylinder. All right, there's two kinds. There are 2 kinds of wrist pin retaining clips. One has a little flare on the end, and the other one is just naked. So the one with the flare on the end is easier to get out. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
You can see that this clip has one end with a loop on it and the other one's just round. It doesn't really matter which kind you have, but if you have this kind, it's easier. Alright, so I've got an appropriately sized socket that can push on the wrist pin. I'm going to go around the other side and just push it out. Alright, and here's the wrist pin coming out. Okay, now there is the wrist pin. Now, I can push the piston up in there a little bit, and now we can remove the cylinder. Okay, I tore my base gasket here, so I'm going to need to replace that. And the cylinder comes off. Okay. Alright, one of the things that I like to do is keep the connecting rod from banging around on the crankcases. Whoa. So you can do that with a couple of pieces cut off an old inner tube, like that. Alright, I want to take a moment to talk about what we're looking at here. The crank drives the clutch basket, and then the other part of the clutch is connected to this is the input shaft of the transmission, and there's a gear on the back of that drives all this stuff here. This is an oil pump and this is an oil pump, and these are held on with snap rings, and when you pull the gear off, the gear just pulls right off, and then you can get to the screws behind there. But we don't have to take the oil pumps out today, so I'm not gonna disturb any of this.